We're going to turn our attention to the French newspapers. Now, Elena Casas is back from her holidays and with us once again. What's on the front pages today then, Elena?
Well, Libération's got an exclusive, which is some good news for Parisians. It might be raining, but your rent's not going to go up anytime soon. Thanks to the new president, François Hollande. They've interviewed the new housing minister, Cécile Duflot, who tells them that the new government is going to rush through a law over the summer to stop landlords raising the rent when they re-rent their property to somebody else. So apparently, the average rent in Paris has gone up 50% in the last 10 years, which is pretty stratospheric, some of the highest rents in the world. So they're going to crack down. Now, unfortunately, these rising housing prices not only are not very much to the liking of people trying to rent in Paris, they're also, according to Le Figaro, not very much to the liking of very wealthy people trying to invest. They say that now that François Hollande is president and he's threatening a 75% tax on millionaires, as we all know, they're all fleeing apparently to America, where a number of French estate agents are seeing a boom in wealthy French people looking to buy $1 million plus apartments in New York. So maybe that'll mean cheaper apartments in Paris for the rest of us if they all go there.
That's very true. We can move into one of them, couldn't we? That would be fantastic stuff. The retrial of Jerome Kerviel, that's also getting lots of column inches, isn't it, today?
It is. Now, 4 years after the Kerviel affair first started, of course, after he was first caught out rogue trading, could traders still cause their banks to collapse, asks the Le Parisien on its front page. And the answer essentially is yes, they say inside. They've talked to an anonymous trader who refuses to give the paper his name inside. And he says very little has really changed about the regulatory system. French banks have made a lot of song and dance about putting in certain measures, having more controllers, trying to reduce the amount of really risky trading that's going on in their banks, and even forcing the traders to take more holidays so they don't get cabin fever and start making mistakes. But all of this, they say, has not really reduced the risk of someone, if they wanted to cheat their employer, like Jerome Kerviel apparently did, although his defence, of course, is that the bank must have known what he was doing. They say there's a problem in the regulatory frameworks of banks. You could still get away with this if you wanted to. This could quite easily still happen. They've also got an interesting interview in there with a psychologist who reckons that traders, we've heard this before probably, but reckons that traders share a great deal of the same psychological characteristics of psychopaths. Their inability to feel what other people are thinking and feeling, focusing strongly on their own objectives, a massive ego and an appetite for risk are all, of course, the key qualities that you need to be a good trader. And they also, for a psychologist, have you defined as a psychopath. And there could still be plenty more Jerome Kerviels out there, they reckon. These kind of trading scandals, of course, have cropped up several times since he was caught, and there's nothing to stop it happening again.
You're talking psychopaths, you're also talking sadistics, Canadian killers. This is the story which has been all over the French media at the weekend. Loose in Paris, apparently, now.
Yes, this is, of course, a rather horrendous story of the Canadian killer who supposedly chopped up his lover and kept bits of it in a fridge, who's now been spotted in Paris. Now, as you say, the French press have been fascinated by this, so much so that as many as 10,000 people, assumedly having read about it in the press, have called Paris police over the last weekend to say that they spotted him out and about in Paris. Now, they can't all really have seen him, but he was apparently really spotted on CCTV footage in a Parisian suburb. Le Parisien explains they've interviewed a terrified 29-year-old waitress who sat across from him in that bar and spotted the sadistic killer, apparently. And Le Figaro explain what the French police are doing to try and track him down. Apparently they're analysing the DNA found on Coke bottles he supposedly sipped from in that bar, and also trying to follow his internet electronic trail, because they reckon he's going to be forced to take money out of his bank account at some point because he'll be running out, and then they'll be able to trace where he's done it and hopefully then track him down.
Okay, and finally, Madonna is getting involved in French politics. Really?
Yes, this is in Le Parisien. Now, they explain that she's just started a new tour, started in Tel Aviv on Thursday, and one of the visuals that she has behind her, of course, she sort of plays videos with different images superimposed across one another in the background. One of them is that just for a few seconds, you see Marine Le Pen's face, which is shortly followed by a swastika and the face of Hitler. Of course, highly controversial. It looks very much like she's comparing Le Pen directly to Hitler, something which even her worst political enemies in France haven't quite done just yet. Now, Madonna does have previous for this kind of thing. In her 2008 tour, she showed Hitler's face superimposed over that of US Republican politicians, but Marine Le Pen is taking this one a little bit seriously. She's threatened to sue, and also tells Le Parisien that Madonna is an old singer, that no one buys her records anymore, and that she's willing to do anything to create some controversy. So Marine Le Pen getting into a bit of a bitch fight with Madonna over this video.
A cat fight between Madonna and Marine Le Pen. That would be intriguing, wouldn't it? Elena, thanks very much.
Who would you bet on winning?
Exactly. I'm not answering that question. It's far too controversial. Madonna. Thanks very much. Elena here with the French newspapers here on France 24.